all the usher, tech people, all the pulpit assistants. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Trustees, thank you, Jen and the choir. Y'all sound so good.
Amen.
To all the visitors who come near and far on this very special occasion.
Oh, yes.
But more importantly, to these honorees.
Amen.
Pastor and his lovely wife, Kennedy, on that special day. And I just want to commend this church for what you're doing for the man of God. I often tell people you can never do too much for the man of God. He who gives a cup of water to a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And every time you bless the man of God, you'll get your prophet's reward. He's not only do honor, he do double honor. So I thank this church for what y'all doing and the love. You know, love is what? Every once in a while, your husband might say he loves you, but sometimes they can wave their hand. Pastor Kennedy, and to your entire family, and to the wife. You know, the minister wife have a tough job. They're not only the first lady, but they're the pastor's best friend. Sometimes that's the only person they can talk to.
Right.
And so, Sister Kennedy, I want to commend you for that role, and that's a difficult role. The husband is gone all hours of the night, all hours of the day. And again, it takes a special kind of person to be a minister's wife. For that I want to salute you. The things that they've said about this man of God is true. And I won't take up a lot of time reminiscing about it, but it's true. Before I became the pastor of Beulah, I came over and preached 2 or 3 times. That's just the kind of man he is. We often meet up in 2 places. We meet at the hospital, or we meet at Sam's. In fact, I got this invitation out at Sam's. Passing through Sam. I don't go to Walmart a lot. Me and Pastor Kennedy is at Sam together. So we often meet up there. And I just want to tell you, thank you. There's so many puppeteers that could have stood here today. But thank you again from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity. The love you've shown from afar over the years. Thank you again. And again, the time you allowed me to come here and preach. Again, thank you so very much. And I just want to tell you that you are very special to me. You and your family. And I want you to know that God continue to bless me. My prayer for you and your family. That the Lord continue to bless you going out and you're coming in. And everywhere the sole of your feet shall trample. That you be blessed and highly favored. I ask you in the name of a risen Christ. Amen.
Thank you for that.
Now before we're going to be getting out here in a few minutes, I want to thank the Beulah Knights for all coming. All my deacons stand. All my deacons stand. The associate ministers of Beulah, our associate ministers. Our associates here. Thank our associates. Thank you. Now all the members of Beulah stand. You see that? All the members. See how we go. Amen. Well, I guess out there we go back home now. Thank you, all. It reminds me right there when you jump in front of me. Thank you all, people, for the love you show for your pastor.
Amen.
I appreciate it so very much. They love me and they show me they love me. Wherever we go, Pastor Kennedy, we go in the these numbers. Thank you
Amen.
all so very much.
It ought to be.
I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my wife, Flora. Stand so you can see you. Stand, Flora. I told if you were nice, me and Flora just got back from New Orleans. Oh, yes, we did. I told him this morning we went down, we left after a funeral last Saturday. We left at 3:30 and at 7:30 I'm in New Orleans. I'm down in the French Quarters, and so someone called my daughter last Saturday night and said, I just seen your dad, I seen somebody look like your dad. My daughter said, you ain't seen my dad because my dad is in New Orleans. The girl said, yeah, I'm down on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Charles Weber, you know what I told him? What happens in New Orleans? Yeah, y'all see how my wife smiling. Put over to have your Bibles, turn with me to the great book of Genesis, Old Testament book. Book of Genesis. Book of Genesis. You get there, go to the 22nd chapter. Book of Genesis, 22nd chapter. Thank you to the worthy conductor and to the great master of order. Thank you for such orderly service. Thank you so very much. The great book of Genesis, the 22nd chapter, beginning at the 9th verse. And they came to the place which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called to him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. He said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou any harm, anything unto him. But now I know that thou fearest God, seest thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked over. Behind him a ram caught in a thicket by the horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering to the stead of his son. And the last verse, and Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh. You may be seated, which means the Lord will. The Lord will provide.
Oh, yes, He will.
The Lord will provide.
Yes, He will. Yes, He will.
Let me use for a subject quickly this afternoon. I am a living testimony.
All right.
I am a living testimony.
Go on.
When one really examines the book of Genesis, it is a fascinating book. One may think since it's the first book, it's the oldest book, but that's not the case. The oldest book in the Bible probably has the distinction of that being that of Job. When one looks at the author of this great book, you'll find out the author is none other than God's servant, the man that we call Moses. Moses would write the first 5 books of the Old Testament. It would be called the Pentateuch, or some may even call it the Law. Out of all the books in the Bible, there's probably not another book that has been as controversial in terms of modern science than that of the book of Genesis. When we was in school, we learned that when this world, when the earth was formed, billions of years ago, that was a cataclysm. That was millions of molecules and gases and atoms and neutrons that all came together to form this thing that we call Earth. But when I read the Bible, it tells me simply that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. If one studies modern day science, they'll tell you that man evolved somewhere in the dark, deep craters there of Mesopotamia. And while man was there in the dark cave, he was down on all fours. And after the evolution of time, he began to walk upright, that like a man. But that's not what the Bible tells me when I read it. The Bible tells me that God created man in his own image and in his own likeness. And what that means that God gave man the ability to reason that which is right and to reason that which is wrong. When one thinks of the creation of the world, how the world was formed from Adam and from Eve, from Noah and the flood, and from the great hunter by the name of Nimrod, all the way down to another man who had lived in a place called Earth. And that man's father died. And after the death of his father, the Lord called him, and this man's name was Abram. And the Lord said, Abram, I need you to get from around your kindred. I need you to get out of your father's house. I need you to go to a land that the Lord thy God will show thee. One need to realize that Abram was a rich man. He had men and maid servants. He had silver and he had gold. He had all kind of camel and livestock. The Lord asked him to get from around his kinfolks. You know, I hate to tell you, but you know, sometimes your kinfolks are your worst folks. Boy, your kinfolks can be so envious and jealous of you. But God had to get him out of his comfort zone. You see, sometimes we'll never progress because we don't want to get out of our comfort zone. There's a difference between being complacent and being satisfied. You can be complacent and still not satisfied. But God wanted to move him out of his comfort zone. He said, I'm going to move you to a land. And he said, we're going to do some things for you. I'm going to bless those who bless you. And in return, I'm going to curse those who curse you. So Abram picked up and he left with his family. He would take his family, his nephew by the name of Lot, and he had a wife by the name of Sarah. And they would now move on past the great Euphrates River, avoiding going across the great desert. And they would end up in a place called Canaan, which is modern day Iraq. You see, when God told him to go to Canaan, he didn't know anything about Canaan. Never been there, didn't know how to get there. But what he did, he walked by faith and not by sight. Once he got down into the land of Canaan, a strange thing would happen. There would be a great famine there in the land. Ain't it amazing? This is the land that the Lord has told him to go in, moved him out of his home, and now he gets to the land of Canaan. And now there's a famine in the land. Well, I say, why in the world would the Lord do that? Just like the Lord will let you buy a house